Good evening. I'd like to call to order the February 10th meeting of the CRA board. This is going to be a workshop. If you would please rise for a moment of silence and then a pledge of allegiance held Councilmember Nunn. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have a roll call, please.
Chairman Dodd,
Here.
Vice Chairman Hill,
Here.
Mr. Jones,
Here.
Mr. McPartland,
Here.
Mr. Nunn.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, the reason for this workshop is a discussion about the future use of the former Harbor Lights Motel property. That's the property that's actually on the west side of Indian River Drive. The east side of Indian River Drive is not involved in the discussion right now. So, and this is a workshop, and I'm going to let Mr. Carlisle do an introduction if he has one he wants to do. And then if the staff would like to make a presentation, and then we'll open it up to the public, and then the council will begin to talk.
Okay, Mayor, that's fine.
Okay,
Yeah.
sure.
So the Harbor Lights Motel was purchased back in 2018, and the reason it was purchased was to help preserve the waterfront view and to join that property across Indian River Drive with the Main Street boat ramp, which we have done. And then the city at a later date would determine what they want to do with that property. We've had a lot of people interested in it, and so we wanted to, council had asked us to set up a workshop for you all to decide what you want to do with the property. So I had Ms. Frazier put together some background information and some pictures of the condition of the building and some other environmental reports and go over that with you so you kind of have a feeling for what's out there on that property. And so with that, I'll turn it over to Ms. Frazier and Mr. Loring.
Good evening. So what you have in front of you is a basic brief of the structure. The building was built in 1951. It lies within a historic district, but it's not on any registry as a historic structure. And staff has laid out on page 2 some considerations for you to go over, but it's not by any means a complete list. And it was basically a framework for which you guys could discuss what might the property be used for. And with that, I'll turn it back over to you, but we're happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay. Is there anyone from the public that would like to address this? Yes, sir, if you'd like to. Come forward, please, to the mic, if you would.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, come forward to the mic right there and give us your name and your residence, place of residence.
I'm Darryl Correa. I'm a resident here in Sebastian, Florida. I just know the property, and I just know what that property could be for the city of Sebastian. So I just hope to see that they don't just decide to just make it a parking lot per se, but maybe have something that could generate some revenue for the city.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone on Zoom that would like to comment on this? Yes. Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am.
Hello, my name is Grace Reed. I also live here in Sebastian. I'm supporting, after reading all the information there, I'm supporting the city sell the property with the restrictions on how it can be used. I think it'd be beneficial to the city to get tax income off of that property instead of just letting it sit or even making just a park out of it.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll go back to Zoom.
No one has raised their
No one?
hand.
Okay, all right. Council, anyone
sir.
like to make comments?
Mayor Dodd, if I could?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I was part of
mic
the,
on?
yeah, I believe it's
Okay.
on. Yes, sir.
Okay.
We were part of the purchase of that. I think you were involved in it, and Mr. McPartland, I believe, was involved in the purchase of the property. And And back then, from my standpoint, the reason that it was purchased and the reason that I went forward and believed that we should purchase it is so that we could save that property on the east side of Indian River Drive and to expand the park south along Indian River Drive to conjoin those properties and then save that view in perpetuity for the citizens of this community. I always had the intent of then seeing the city sell that property back to a private citizen to get it back on a payroll, the tax rolls, I'm sorry. I think that's exactly what we should do. For it to be a parking lot, it would only be really a vehicle parking lot. You couldn't use it as a boat parking lot. The logistics are not there to get the boats in and out and to make it a serviceable parking lot for that. And then as far as the park goes, that's another option, but from my personal standpoint, I think that's a prime piece of real estate. And if done right and possibly joined with the property directly to the west of it, could be an amazing piece of property between US 1 and Indian River Drive that can be developed in something that is in the sort of Sebastian way, developed under the CRA rules and regulations. I believe that the CRA has the strictest rules and regulations as to how things can be developed, what can be developed, the landscape requirements, the parking ordinances, the facade of the buildings, the slopes, the roofs, everything is all outlined in our CRA. So I believe that it's already outlined in the regulations as to what can be on that property. So I think that as long as it's sold back and used in the CRA, I think that I'd be extremely comfortable with that. I would be a little bit concerned about putting restrictions on that property, as we want to make sure that the citizens get as much money back from that property as we can get. And I also believe that the CRA has plenty of restrictions in place that will make sure that that property is developed in a way that benefits the city of Sebastian. So I'm fully in favor of putting it up for sale and getting what we can for it.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I would. So obviously, I'm all for the city purchasing property to gain what we gained out of it, which was the green space on the river. And I agree completely that we should sell the property and put it back on the tax rolls. I don't think we need conditions if the CRA covers it so that it is going to be something like retail or something. I don't know that we want to see a small apartment complex or something like that, even if it's big enough to do that. I don't think the building's worth keeping at this point. I think it probably cost a lot more to refurbish it. So I'm glad we're not thinking about going down that direction and trying to make it a historical site or something like that. I just don't think it's worth doing. I agree with Vice Mayor Hill. There's not enough space to put a parking lot that would mean anything to anybody. You could park a few more cars there, but that would be about it. That wouldn't solve our boat trailer situation. So I'm all for selling the property. If we do talk about having stipulations on the sale, I guess we'd have to discuss what those would be if the CRA is not going to cover, our look of what that property should be down the road.
Okay. Anyone else?
Yeah, no, Mayor Dodd, I'm not opposed to it either. I would like to see it. So that building is an eyesore and it needs to go. I wouldn't be opposed to having shops at the bottom and maybe some apartments on the second level or something like that. But whatever, I know the CRA covers a lot of that, but I definitely would not be opposed to seeing that because, like I said, I would love to see a couple more shops along the river there. And I think whoever gets it, they'll follow the rules of the CRA for sure, and it will be developed properly.
Okay. Paul?
Just sell it. It's a prime piece of real estate, and it's going to wind up being on septic and sewer. You can't ask for more than that.
Yeah. Okay, I'm not, I originally was kind of opposed to selling it. And I kept asking myself, and I've actually asked the city manager this question one time before, the $200,000 or so we're going to get for that, what are we going to gain for that as related to giving up the property? What specifically will that money do for the city that the potential of having that property down the line might be to the city in doing that? But the more I looked at it, the more I realized that if you put a park in there, you're not going to have any more parking. You're going to be in trouble with the parking. You can't use it for boat parking. And the only reason that was attractive to me to keep it was the fact that we own the piece of property that the Chamber of Commerce is on. And if you combine those two pieces of property, it becomes a little bit different in the thing. But I don't think the Chamber's planning on doing any moving, and we certainly aren't planning on kicking them out. So I would personally kind of like to see us complete our comp plan and make a determination as to whether the change in the comp plan might change some of the rules in the land development code for the CRA, so that those new rules come into play in the use of the land when it goes. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that we don't sell it until then, but would be personally interested in making sure that we don't sell it to somebody who wants to build something on it that the land development code allows today that we might not want 6 months from now. I don't know, maybe Mrs. Fraser can address that a little bit if she'd like.
Well, I'm not quite sure what you're alluding to, Mr. Mayor. I'm sorry, Mayor Dodd. I was going to say Mr. Dodd. I apologize. We submitted the comp plan today. It has been transmitted to everyone. I'm so happy. If I seem a little lighter, that's why. But there's no changes that I'm aware of in the new comprehensive plan that would affect the CWR zoning or that area of the riverfront CRA. I'm thinking in my brain, but I don't believe that we have anything. We're not changing any of the land use there. We did not change anything specifically, nor add more density there, because it is in the CHHA, the high hazard area, and coastal high hazard, so we didn't want to add more density down there. But Vice Mayor Hill is correct. It is part of the riverfront overlay, which has very nice stringent architectural landscape codes on top of the CWR zoning that they would have to adhere to.
So RM8 is still the primary approved land use or zoning category within that zone?
That's correct at this point. So you're correct. And I don't believe that we have any intention of allowing the RM10 if we go to a higher density zoning in that area because of the high hazard area.
Well, I'm not necessarily talking about a higher density. I'm talking about there is an incentive to a developer to put 8, 10 condo units on that piece of property, not necessarily commercial with something above that. It's the incentive there is to put 8 or 10 commercial units on that. Now, I don't, my personal feeling is that we need to make sure that we kind of mix use commercial and residential within that area as much as possible. But right now, under the zoning requirements for that area, we can't do that with a developer unless they choose to do that. They can come in with an RM8 approved project on that piece of property, and there's nothing in our code that says that we should not approve that process.
That is correct, but they can do a mixed use in the CWR.
If they choose to.
Yes, so if they choose to. That is correct, sir, yes.
Mayor?
So if we were to put some type of condition on the sale that requires that some mixed use category be used on it, that would be the only way we could try to lean towards that effort. I don't know. Go ahead.
The municipality has a separate option that an individual seller may not have. We can put the proposal out for someone to buy the property. And with that, they can provide a plan to the city along with their, whatever they want to pay for it, and a site plan of what they're going to put there. And you can make the sale condition, it may not be the best price, but they may have the best project. Or you can choose not to pass any of them. So you can allow free market to reign and let them develop a conceptual plan as part of their proposal to the city, and the city can accept or reject that proposal. You don't necessarily have to restrict it, but you can make it known what you would like to see there, and then the people who want to purchase it know that's what the city's looking for, and hopefully that's the proposal they would provide to the city, and you can make the best decision.
So that would be a condition on the sale, basically. What we would be saying is the sale would be conditioned on the city agreeing to your plan,
correct,
to your site plan or your plan to do.
So we're not restricting their use, but we're either going to accept it or reject it, and that's entirely up to council.
Okay. I like it. Since we're in a workshop, we can't do a motion anyway.
You cannot. We can put it on the next meeting if you'd like.
We can put it on the next meeting, but Mr. City Attorney, if we were to, whatever we approve, if what Mr. Carlisle was discussing was to happen, we would have to include that in what we approve, correct?
That's correct, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, all right.
But also, I mean, no matter what we approve at the next meeting, any sale's got to come back to us for approval.
That's correct.
So,
Right.
so at the point is, we have the full control over that property. And there's a couple of other things. I do like your point about the city selling its property. You know, we have the asset, what's a few $100,000, right? But from my standpoint, that specific location in the city, being that real heart downtown area of the city, I believe that in the hands of someone who wants to develop it in the way the CRA is to be developed, will be a great asset to the residents of this community, and it will provide taxes for the city forever. So there's extra benefits beyond just the initial sale. And
Well,
so-
my only concern, and we can alleviate it, but my only concern is that we sell it, and then the individual we sell it to comes back with a final plat for it, and they have a building, I don't know, similar to what's down by Captain Butcher's with 8 apartments in it, or 8 condos in it, and it's not necessarily what we really want there. We really
It's
want
certainly not
mixed
what I
use
would like to see, that's for sure.
So if we could
I-
control that
I
through
agree
the
that we
sale
should-
transaction, I think we're in good shape.
Yeah, I have no problems saying that, making sure that that is not what we have.
Okay.
My vision, again, I'm just one guy, but if you see that area, it's a walking area, it's a foot traffic area, it's a place where people can go to the shops and get some ice cream and get a piece of pizza, you know, walk to another shop and get some tchotchkes or whatever it is, and then potentially people living upstairs. And that is how I see it. And if you look at the overlay documents that we have, that's exactly what's on those documents. It's exactly what's on those documents in that exact place.
Yeah, that's what
so
the
the
charrette
vision has
shows,
been
yeah.
there for years for the city of Sebastian for this to happen.
But that's what the charrette shows, but the code doesn't back that up. The land development code does not back that up. I mean, in our land development code, we can't stop somebody from building a house.
Right.
We can't stop somebody from building I won't call them a cheap, but an inexpensive apartment complex. We can't force those things because our land development code, the uses are primarily RMA. And then commercial uses on top of that, so.
May I make a suggestion, not even a suggestion, but let me share with you. If you look on page, I guess it's 45 of your package, if I have that correct, we've seen, and I'm sure you've seen it also in other cities, municipalities, they will often put out an RFP delineating what they want to see, their vision, kind of what we've pulled together on page 45, and asking for developers to come in with a proposal on that site. And then it's, selected from there. You all would select what proposal makes the best sense. There's other options that you might want to consider. I mean, as Robert and I know Mr. Carlisle have shown the hotel to several individuals, they often ask, what would the city council want? And I often always say, put in a proposal and we'll see. But one of the opportunities is you can offer a land lease, keep the land, they lease no, Mr. Hill. You can do a land lease, that's an option. You can raise the building and clear the site. We're looking at probably about $25,000. We're estimating. We have really no clear view of that except for what the environmental report states about the asbestos removal. So you can offer those things, again, in a proposal, and then state what the vision is, along with schematics as we've shared, and then come back with, they would come back with different proposals that you could consider. I've seen that done in many, many cities.
Okay, I would support selling it under those conditions, no problem.
100%.
I have no problem with that. I don't want to land lease it. They quit making payments, and we're stuck with it, So ultimately, we will sell it, but probably at a discount to get rid of it. And I like what's on page 45. I've been talking about this for years in Sebastian. Commercial on the first floor, residential on the top floor, a whole riverfront should be mixed use that way. The whole riverfront should be, okay. Any more comments?
Yeah, I like what's on page 45. That's my vision, so.
Okay.
No, I'm good.
No? Do you have your direction?
Well, we'll bring that back to you, and I know Mr. Loring had done some mock-ups of some other ideas for you to look at, but we'll bring that back at the next council meeting for you all to formalize your decision. and then we'll have our marching orders, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Okay, good. Well, that was quicker than everybody thought, so unless there's any other comments, I'm going to adjourn the CRA workshop, and I will reconvene the city council meeting at 6 p.m.
Okay.
Okay, he's on, we're having a moment.
Okay. And let's go proclamations.
Your mic.
Oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't on. Yeah. I'm okay? All right. Barbara's gonna get me. Proclamations and brief announcements. I have a proclamation for 211 awareness. My understanding is Ms. Watts is on Zoom. Is that correct? Then I can actually read that from up here probably without going down there. Right, okay. How are you this evening?
Hi, I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me virtually. I appreciate the accommodation.
That's fine, no problem. Okay. This is a proclamation for 211 Awareness Week. Whereas 211 Helpline is proud to announce it is celebrating 50 years of service to our community, and whereas over this span of time, the 211 Helpline has responded to over 3 million requests for help from people of all walks of life, providing the guidance and support they've needed, continuing throughout the course of the current pandemic, and whereas requests for more help have doubled at periods in response to the COVID-19 last year. Caring staff continue to be that beacon of hope, providing crisis support when people are overwhelmed and don't know where to turn. 211 is available anytime, day or night. And whereas 211 also has specialized advocacy and support programs that include Help Me Grow, which is catching children developmental delays early. And whereas 211's My Florida Veterans, which provides peer-to-peer support and helps veterans to readjust, providing linkage to services for veterans and their families. And whereas 211's life-saving Sunshine Daily telephone and reassurance calls continue to brighten the lives of local isolated seniors and has expanded to include isolated caregivers. And now, therefore, I, Ed Dodd, Mayor of the City of Sebastian, do hereby proclaim February 11 through 17, 2021 as 211 Awareness Week, and urge all citizens to be aware that if they are overwhelmed, in crisis, or just need to talk, the 211 helpline is available day or night. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Sebastian, Florida, to be affixed this 10th day, February 2021. Thank you, 211 people. All right.
Thank you so much for having me, and good evening. My name is Colleen Waltz, and I am the Treasure Coast Community Relations Specialist for 211 Helpline. On behalf of 211, we are so grateful to receive this proclamation in recognition of 211 Awareness Week. 211 is a free and confidential community helpline and crisis suicide prevention lifeline number available 24 hours a day to all residents in Palm Beach and the Treasure Coast. In 2020, 211 Helpline responded to over 4,100 calls, texts, and emails, and over 28,000 chats through our website from Indian River residents requesting help. We are also sad to report that we answered the call for over 112 residents in the area that were seeking to end their lives. Thank you so much for recognizing this vital Community Awareness Week and for helping us spread information about our life-saving services. We are so grateful for your support and continued support. So thank you so much for having us.
Thank you very much for everything you guys do. Thank you. All right, thank you. All right, let's go on to brief announcements. February 13, the Craft Club of Sebastian show at the River Park from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And February 19th, the second installment, I believe this is, of the Sebastian Police Department's movie night out at Riverview Park at 7 p.m. They don't have a list here of what movie they're going to show, but it's always a good affair to bring the kids down and relax in the park and watch a movie. Okay, we're now up to public input. Is there anyone who would like to address the council on things not on the agenda? Sir, yes.
Thank you very much. Would you mind if I just pull this down?
Go ahead, yes.
It's okay? Thanks. I appreciate that. Let me put that here. That allows me to use my glasses. So thank you, council members, for having me here, and especially thank you, Fred Jones, for inviting me here. I really appreciate this opportunity. 3 years ago, I had an idea to help a friend who ran a charity in New Jersey that collected winter coats. Since finding coats in Vero Beach did not seem like a particularly fruitful plan of action, I began to search for other ways to help.
and I discovered that socks are the #1 requested item in homeless shelters. Now, one reason for this is that socks and underwear are rarely donated, and without a laundry room in a home, it's often a disposable item for those living on the street. That's how the first annual Vero Beach Sock Drive began. Right now, we're in the middle of the third annual Vero Beach Sock Drive, and it's getting bigger every year. The first sock drive, the goal was 500 pairs. I asked friends to put donation boxes at their businesses and just began posting on Facebook. And in a few weeks, we had 1,000 pairs of clean, packaged socks. It allowed me to spread the socks to 2 other charities as well, including The Source in Vero Beach. The next year, I upped the ante and I declared we would again collect 1,000 pairs of socks, and we added more donation drop-off sites. We got written up in the hometown news. We hooked up with Teresa Baxter at the Gifford Activity Center, and in no time, we had almost 3,000 pairs of socks. This year, we're upping the ante again, and with the help of friends and my wife Patricia, we have added sponsors and gotten more donations. My purpose in coming here this evening is simply to spread the word throughout Indian River County and our community, and let people know that for not a lot of money and extraordinarily little effort, this simple gesture can make a huge difference in the lives of the homeless and the hopelessly poor. I'd love to spread the word from here in Sebastian all the way to the Highlands and have more collection sites, more donations, and more people served. Today, I dropped off a collection box with a new sponsor, Packmart, in the public shopping center right over here on US 1 in Sebastian. At any given time, there are more than 1,000 people homeless in Indian River County, mostly in the woods where we never see them. And there is still, as far as I know, only one cold night shelter in the county. So this one small gesture can go a long way towards making someone's life a little easier, a little healthier. The sock drive runs through the end of February, so there's still plenty of time to buy a few packages at Walmart and drop them off in a donation box. In fact, if anyone is interested, I brought a donation box with me. I'd be happy to give it to anyone who would like to participate. I'd like to thank you again, Council, for this opportunity to get the word out to all of our neighbors. It means a lot, and it shows that you care. We have drop-off box locations in Vero Beach at Alexander Insurance, 4616 20th Avenue, the Coffee House, 1420 on 14th Avenue and 20th Street, the Purple Plum Boutique on Ocean Drive, Waldo's at the Driftwood Hotel on Ocean Drive, the Center for Spiritual Care, 1550 24th Street, Sean Ryan Pub on 14th Avenue, both locations of Dale Sorensen Real Estate, the Gifford Middle School, Grace Lutheran Church, Holy Cross Catholic Church, which is on the beach, Mr. Smokes, which is across from the Vero Beach City Hall, Studio on 60, which is my art studio on 20th Street, Botanica, 23 Royal Palm Point, the Green Marlin Restaurant on US 1, Chive at 390 21st Street, and here in Sebastian, by the river, 11085 Ganja Way, and of course, as I mentioned, Packmart now at the Public Shopping Center. This year, we will be giving to the following charities, and possibly more, because we're going to have a lot of socks. I believe, I haven't counted them, but I believe we've already hit our goal. We're going to exceed it by a lot. The Source, the Hope for Family Center, the Gifford Community Center, the Samaritan Center, Our Father's Soup Kitchen, the Hibiscus Center, Livingston Philanthropies, and New York City Relief for the Homeless. And I'd like to thank the following corporate supporters who've been so generous: Tax Saving Professionals, White Glove Moving and Storage, Pack Mail, Beauty and the Beach Radio, Dale Sorensen Real Estate, the Web Wise Guys, who are making us a website, Hometown News, and as of yesterday, a wonderful surprise, the Harvard University women's basketball team, who sent us 5 cases of socks.
Wow.
So, again, thank you so much for this opportunity. One little pair of socks makes a big difference.
All right. Thank you, sir. Okay. Would you mind if he leaves that box, and if anyone in town that has a business would like to come pick it up? I'm sorry?
I'd like to put out my temperature reading in the main lobby.
Okay, all right. Yeah, leave it. He'll put it here in the main lobby. Yes. All right, anyone else like to address the council? Anyone on Zoom?
No one has raised their hand.
Did you want to address the council? Yes. Come here.
Hello, Frank. That's an awesome idea that he has. I just want to tell you a couple of things. I know I sent you all the information about how many people I found on the street, and I know I missed some. But I put that on my Facebook page, and this lady took it and sent it to another social media. And the people in this town have been unbelievable. For the last couple of weeks, they have donated so many things to me that I had to get a storage unit. I mean, it's great. Now, the negative side is we need to do something. All right, I mean, last week it was 30s. People were outside. The source, yes, they offered a dignity bus, but it was only in Vero. People said, well, Frank, they could have taken the GO line. Yeah, they could have, but if something happened to the GO line, or if they got there late, they'd be outside sleeping in Vero Beach. You know, it really is time. I think it's time when you all have a chance that all 7 of us sit down somewhere and try to come out with something for the people in this area. And also, I'd still like to talk to you all about the basketball league I was thinking about doing too. So when you have a chance, but like I said, the people in this town were awesome, and they continue to be awesome, and I thank them for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone on Zoom now?
No, there's not.
Okay, then I'm going to close public, I'm sorry. Oh, thank you, thank you. I'm going to close public input, and we'll move on to the consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor, move approval. I second.
All right, got a motion by Councilmember Partland and seconded by
None.
Nunn. Mr. Nunn, Councilmember Nunn. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. All right, it passes. There are no committee reports, no public hearings, no unfinished business, so we're on to new business. This is ordinance number 02102. Would the city attorney like to read the title, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. An ordinance of the City of Sebastian, Florida, amending Chapter 58, Article 3, Police Officers Retirement Plan of the Code of Ordinance, amending Section 58-51, Benefit Amounts and Eligibility, Section 58-52, Pre-Retirement Death, Section 58-55, Optional Forms of Benefits, Section 58-61, Minimum Distribution of Benefits, Section 58-62, Miscellaneous Provisions providing for severability, providing for codification, providing for the repeal of all ordinance in conflict herewith, to the extent of such conflicts, providing for scrivener's error, and providing an effective date.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Carmona.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, this ordinance is in place because of an IRS change, and this ordinance brings us into compliance with our distribution and our planning of our police pension plan. And Mr. Kilgore is here to answer any particular questions you may have.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Kilgore?
No, Mayor Dodd, I'd move approval of ordinance number O-21-02 and set a public hearing for February 24th, 2021.
Second.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
2 things. We need public comment, and we need to also set the date. I'm sorry.
Okay. I think you set the date in your motion, did you not?
I did, yes, sir.
Okay. Any public comment on this? Any public comment from Zoom?
There's none.
Okay. This is basically a mechanical change, so anybody out there that you hear Police Pension Fund, we're not talking about changing dollar amounts. It's just a mechanical change on the age of distribution, moving from 70 and a half to 72 years old. That's pretty much what it is. So we can do this. Actually, we need to do this by voice vote, I believe. Would you do a voice vote, please? Roll call.
Councilmember Jones?
Yes.
Councilmember McPartlin?
Yes.
Councilmember Nunn?
Yes.
Mayor Dodd?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hill?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, now we're on to lease for Hangar C at the airport. Item number 11B. Mr. Carlisle.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, Cruiser Air, the company that was building the Cruiser aircraft in that building decided they wanted to locate somewhere else, and they were subleasing this to Pilot's Paradise under the same terms and conditions that they had their lease held under. They did not want to be a landlord to a tenant and us be a landlord to them that weren't in place, so they wanted to vacate their lease. In the terms of vacating their lease, we didn't want to penalize them because they had a tenant in there, so Mr. Baker, myself, the city attorney, and Mr. Kilgore negotiated a lease that has some better protections for the city in it. It has automatic rate increases, it has penalties, and it has several protections in there that Mr. Anand had made sure were in there. And we recommend approving the lease of Hangar C to Flying Fish Corp. doing business as Pilot's Paradise, Inc.
Okay. Council, public comment. Is anyone from the public? Anyone on Zoom?
There is no one.
Okay, council.
I move approval.
Second?
All right, we have motion by Councilmember Jones, seconded by Councilmember McPartlin. Any comment from council members? Okay, let's have a voice vote on this, please.
Councilmember McPartlin?
Yes.
Councilmember Nunn?
Yes.
Mayor Dodd?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hill?
Yes.
And Councilmember Jones?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we're on to item number C, which is the fourth quarter financial report. Mr. Kilgore?
Mr. Kilgore, please.
Mr. Kilgore.
Thank you. This is on the fourth quarter of last fiscal year, so it's the year ending September 30th. It has gone to the Budget Committee. We went over it at Monday night's meeting. They were pleased, and the highlight of it really is that the general fund, the expenditures from all the departments in general fund were only 95% of their budget was spent. So that was a positive comment. We also discussed the revenues, and the revenues came in only at 94%. And if you recall, we had some severe cutbacks in our state revenue sharing monies right at the end of last year, and that is a good part of the shortfall. It would have helped if we would have got the money from the Hurricane Matthew that was still waiting for reimbursement on. We talked quite a bit at the Budget Committee meeting about strategies we could use, but the problem is the changeover in their personnel is by the time you start a discussion or correspondence with one member from FEMA or their contractors, they have changed, and then you start all over with the next one, and it's been very frustrating. But we will keep on that. It's not a part of our accounts receivable or a part of our assets to general fund. We did not record it as being a receivable, so once it does come in, it will help our reserve situation. The body of the rest of the report, we cover all the projects that were completed during last year. Most of the projects we were successful with. There was quite a bit of unfinished project money that was allocated, for things that we have under design. I'll give you a complete report of the investments and the cash balances of the city, as well as the resolution, and the attachment shows all the budget adjustments that have been made during that quarter. It includes a few that were uses of our R&R fund in the general fund, so those are typically an emergency or replacement or repair, and the city manager has the authority to proceed with those and come back and report to the city council. So with that, I'd be glad to respond to any questions or...
Okay. Let me back up a second. You don't have to do your presentation over again, but I didn't have the city attorney read the introduction to the resolution, so I think I probably need to do that before we go forward.
It's the council's privilege, but technically by law, you don't have to read resolution, but I'd be more than glad to read it for you.
Okay, that's fine. We don't have to do it then. We're okay with it.
Only ordinance.
Okay. Any questions from the council on the third quarter report? Do I have a motion?
Just a brief statement. Well done, just as always. You know, our finance department is outstanding, and that's why they get awards every year. So congratulations again. You guys do a great job, and no, I congratulate the city staff for having to deal with the way things went down, basically all of 2020, and the way the spending came and different revenue sources, and you know, everything was done very, very well. So just congratulations and thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to say, watching the meeting the other night, obviously, the Citizens Budget Committee was very pleased and happy with the results coming in under budget, considering we were short on revenue. That's amazing and wonderful, and good job to you and city manager keeping things moving forward and keeping us where we need to be. Great job. Thank you.
Anybody else got anything to say? All right, very positive going into the new budget year. I think I have less concerns than I used to, because the stuff that I'm seeing from the state level is that they haven't really received a level of shortfall that they thought they were going to receive. So we'll see what happens when they go through their budget process, you know, as they do that. So hopefully they'll be able to give us some of the money they owe us as opposed to keeping it for themselves. So it'd be good. It'd be nice. All right. We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
We don't actually have a motion.
Oh,
We
I
haven't
don't?
had a motion. I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution R21-02.
All right. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right.
And now public comment.
Now I have a motion. Now we can vote. All in
Public
favor
comment.
say aye.
And public comment.
Public comment.
Oh, man. There's just no support up
Point of order?
Does anyone from the public wish to address this issue? Anyone on Zoom that would like to address this issue?
No one has raised their hand.
Okay, so now, all in favor of approving Resolution 21.02 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Passes 5-0. Okay, this is Resolution 21.04. Reviewing charter officers' evaluation procedures and establishing procedures for charter officer goal setting, evaluations, wage adjustments, and renegotiation of employment terms. That's item D. Anyone have any comments that they want to make about that?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and jump in there.
Mike.
I pushed the button, it just didn't take. All right, there. These new things, I'm just saying, it's just all electronic stuff, I'm old, all right? Not as bad as the mayor, though, I'm just saying.
Okay.
I'm getting good, all right. I think this resolution is well-written. I think it takes into consideration everything we discussed at the last meeting, I think very well, and I fully support it. And, you know, we did have discussion on it, and it seems to me like the way it was written, they listened, and everything that we had concerns about is in here, so, well done.
All right, and any other comments? I want to thank our city attorney. He drafted this, and he did an exceptional job of taking our conversation and coming up with something. Now he's got his finger up, so he wants to say something, so.
I do, Mr. Mayor and the council. It was a joint effort because the manager helped me as well as our CFO, Mr. King Kilgore helped us as well. So we all put it together. And Sydney, you're right. I apologize.
Okay. And Sydney
It was a team effort.
Okay. So,
Great job.
all right, so
Make a motion to approve resolution number R-21-04.
I second that.
all right, we have a motion and a second to approve resolution R-21-04. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Public comment.
Oh, public comment, please. Anyone from the public want to comment? When people don't do it, I just keep forgetting to call them. They don't, you know.
I
Anybody on Zoom that would like to comment?
No one's raised their hand.
All right, now, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign, passes 5-0. All right, city attorney matters.
Mr. Mayor, thank you very much, council members. I do want to just update so far where we're at with the Charter Review Committee. Actually three of us, myself, city manager, and the city clerk has been attending. Recently, we've had one of the employees, Kathy Tesler, also attend to help with the getting things down correctly. We've met yesterday on the 9th. We've already had 3 meetings. Want to report that. We're December through February. We're on schedule, I believe. Our next meeting is going to be, we're going to double up this month on the 25th. We should be by the end of this month, we should actually be done with all the articles, 1 through 6. Therefore, we anticipate March to revisit everything again and then finalize the packet for the board. Ultimately, we believe around April and May, we'll have the 2 public hearings that they're required to have. Roughly then, around May or June, it should be ready for council to review. Ultimately, we anticipate July, August to dissolve the board, and probably around August or September, the clerk, myself, city manager will be, putting the packet together to submit to the supervisor of elections. I just want to update you, let you know that we've all been working really hard, and we're moving forward on the charter review. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Are you getting much public interest in the charter review at all? Much public interest?
You said public interest?
Yeah. Are you guys seeing much of that?
No,
No.
unfortunately, no. Not much input from the public, but we're opening it up. We give them an opportunity. Just it's been published, and so far, I don't think any public input so far. It's just been the 15 committee members. Staff has been giving input into the charters charter review meetings every time we get together, and that's it. But not too much in public input.
The good thing about that charter review committee is that it's so large, and it's a vast array of citizens in the community, and then ultimately the public will have the say. If there are any amendments that are put up for referendum, they're going to have the ultimate say in whether or not they agree with those issues.
Yeah. I would urge anyone from the public who's not a member of that committee, though, that is interested in the charter after some of the issues that we've had in the past year, to try to attend a meeting and give your input if you feel like you're interested in that. But the Charter Review Committee is doing a great job. I've watched the meetings. They're doing a really good job of putting it, working on it. So I commend everybody that's involved in that for doing that work. Okay. Is that all you've got, sir? Mr. City Manager.
I don't have anything at this time. Thank you.
Madam Clerk? No. Okay. Councilmember Hill?
Nothing further. Thank you.
Councilmember Jones?
No, sir. I moved all mine up to public input, so I didn't have the opportunity to get it on the agenda when I learned about it, so I put it to public input. So.
Okay, good. Thanks. Councilmember McPartland?
Yes, I would just like to, on the Charter Review Committee, the meetings have been very good, and I would encourage anybody to watch them and see they are hashing out a lot of the questions that we might have later when they bring stuff before us. And it is a group, and I mean, they're looking at all different possibilities, and I know they are encouraging public input. You know, I hate to hear at the end, I didn't know that was going on, I had no say in any of these things. But they're also gonna have like 2 public meetings for their results, and then it's gonna come to us for 2. So if you're not in the know, I wish you would get in the know. And then the other thing is, I attended the Veterans Council meeting last week, and that's a pretty vibrant group down there. And one of the things, you know, they're really trying to educate the public is their program about veterans helping veterans. So if somebody's in need, and as long as they're a veteran and they own the home, if their air conditioner goes out, they have resource. I'm not saying they're going to pay for the whole thing, and if you have a need and you're just on Social Security, they'll replace the whole unit, as well as a roof or any other renovations that need to be done for a home. Say you have to build a ramp, you know, a wheelchair ramp. They're available, and they're trying to get the word out, because they're going for an Impact 100 grant. And the thing is, you got to show that you're providing resources, and they're just trying to get the word out there as much as they can, all these things they have. And another one that they brought up at the meeting, which I found extremely interesting, if your septic goes and you're eligible to do that, so I had spoken to Mr. Carlisle, maybe that's another incentive down there on the river. There could be some veterans, and they could get a grant from us and a grant from the Veterans Committee to get them hooked up. So I don't know how you would identify all the veterans that are down there. Maybe you use our own committee, Veterans Committee, to further advertise, because look, the more you can get on there, the better.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Good idea.
That's it.
Okay, Councilmember Nunn.
First, I'd like to say, if the citizens haven't heard, Walmart sent an email today announcing that Walmart and Sam's will soon be carrying and offering the COVID vaccine. So that'll be another opportunity for our citizens here locally. Obviously, Publix is doing it now. We have a waiting list, so I hope some of the anxiety with trying to get the vaccine is going down a little bit for people. They see they're getting it more, so that's a good thing. I want to say thank you to the city manager, our drainage, they're not our drainage staff, but our stormwater staff. They're doing an amazing job. If you haven't seen the canals, now I'm going to call them ditches. The ditches are behind the houses. They've been cleaning them up lately. They've been digging them, getting rid of all the vegetation, doing an amazing, great job. If you haven't seen it, it'll come your way soon. So that's awesome. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I've got two things. Vacation rentals. There is a pretty active effort right now on the part of the state legislature to take over vacation rental, or probably before it's over with, almost all rental property controls at the state level. And I don't think that's a good thing for the municipalities and the counties to have them do that. I'd like to see if there's an interest in the council to having the city manager draft a letter that I can sign on behalf of the council requesting that our current legislators oppose that effort. I think he can draft it on his own.
You got
Sir?
it for me, 100%.
Definitely.
You have something?
There's a webinar with the League of Cities on the 19th,
Okay.
so that might give me an opportunity to get some additional information if the council directs us to go that way, and I'm going to be attending that.
Okay, good, yeah. I don't think he needs to wait to bring it back to us. I think he can go and put together. Does anybody have an issue with that, with him doing that? Okay.
Do it.
There are some other issues that are becoming pretty active up there right now. They don't have money to spend, so they're after control now, it seems like, but that's just the way it is. Okay. The COVID executive order process, starting at the state level and going down through the county level, has had a lot of flux to it. And if the council is amenable, I'd kind of like to get the city manager to come back to us at our next meeting with a report on where we stand with our municipal emergency declaration and how it relates to what the governor may have done or may not have done. Those things were never intended to be in place for 2 years. And there's been a lot of changes at the state level where he's come up with executive orders to do this and do that and do this without actually changing the whole executive order he did before. So if the council's amenable to this, I'd kind of like to ask him to produce a report back to us at our next meeting and let us know if there's anything in our current municipal emergency declaration that might put us at odds with what the state's got set up. And if so, then he can give us an option on how we can correct that. Is that okay with everybody to do that?
Yeah.
Okay. We have support for that, Mr. City Attorney, to do that. Okay. That's all I've got. Thank you. If no one has anything else for to go to the order, then we are adjourned.